All right, welcome back. Today, we are going to get into something that, let's be honest, every single one of us has struggled with: motivation. You know that feeling, right? You know exactly what you're supposed to be doing, but you just can't quite make yourself do it. Well, let's dive into how you can actually regulate it.
I mean, it's the million-dollar question, isn't it? You've got the assignment, you've blocked out the time, maybe you even want to get it done and feel that sense of accomplishment. But for some reason, there's just this invisible wall between you and actually starting. I promise you are not the only one who feels this way.
And look, this isn't some abstract problem. This quote is from a real university student, and it just hits the nail on the head. It's not about being lazy, not at all. It's about this really frustrating challenge of just keeping that focus and drive going. And, this feeling can actually lock us into a pretty vicious cycle.
And we're going to call that cycle the motivation trap. It's this pattern that so many of us fall into, sometimes without even realizing it's happening. And the tricky part is, it can make our lack of motivation even worse over time. Okay, so here's how it goes down. First, you hit that wall, that initial challenge. So what do? You try to power through it by setting some huge, kind of vague goal, like, I'm going to study all day today. But because that goal isn't really specific or realistic, you just end up hitting the exact same wall again. You procrastinate. And what happens then? Well, you end up feeling even less confident about doing it next time. It's a real downward spiral. But here is the good news, and honestly, this is a total game changer. Motivation is not some kind of magic. It's not a personality trait that you're either born with or you're not. It is something way, way more practical than that. See, according to the research, motivation is a process. Just look at those keywords right there: initiate and sustain. It's an active thing. It's something you do, not something you just have. And that little shift in thinking reframes the whole problem. It's not a personal failing, it's just a process that we need to manage. So, the most important thing to get from this is that your motivation is malleable. It's flexible. It can change. You can shape it. You have agency here. And what that really means is you can learn the skills to manage it, just like you'd learn any other skill. So, okay, how do we actually start managing it? Well, it all begins with diagnosing the problem. We've got to figure out why our motivation is stalling out. And it turns out we can do that by asking ourselves three really simple but powerful questions. This right here is your diagnostic framework. Pretty much any motivation problem you'll ever have is going to fall into one of these three buckets. Is it a belief problem? Is it an interest problem? Or is it a value problem? As soon as you know which question is your specific roadblock, you can pick the right tool to start fixing it. Which, of course, brings us to the toolkit itself. For each one of those questions, there are specific strategies and mindsets you can use to start building or, rebuilding your motivation from the ground up. Let's kick things off with that first big question: can I do it? This one is all about your beliefs, what you truly think you're capable of. And this is where the whole concept of mindset really comes into play. Now, this slide shows a really crucial difference. Someone with a fixed mindset basically believes their ability is set in stone. That makes any challenge feel super threatening. But someone with a growth mindset, they believe ability is something you can develop with effort. Just shifting your internal voice from "I'm bad at this" to "I can get better at this" is a massive first step. Building on that is this idea of self-efficacy. Now, this isn't just some vague general self-confidence. It's the very specific belief that you can succeed at the actual task that's right in front of you. And the research on this is clear. Self-efficacy is one of the single strongest predictors of academic performance. Believing you can do it literally makes you more likely to do it. And this might be the most famous example of that belief in action. The story of the little engine that could is just a perfect metaphor for self-efficacy. That simple little chant, "I think I can," it's a form of positive self-talk that builds the grit you need to get over the hill. All right, on to our second question. Do I want to do it? This one's all about desire. What is it that makes us actually want to do a task in the first place? Turns out we've got two main types of fuel for this. First, you've got intrinsic motivation. That's when you do something just for the pure joy of it. Then you've got extrinsic motivation. That's doing something to get an external prize, like money or a good grade. Now, while that internal, intrinsic motivation is what lasts, extrinsic rewards can be a fantastic tool just to get you going.
The source material gives this amazing real-world example. A professor actually paid one of his daughters to read, that's the extrinsic reward, and she did it until eventually she just developed a genuine love for it, and it became intrinsic. His other daughter, she loved reading right from the get-go. It just goes to show you can use those outside rewards as a bridge to build that internal fire.
And that brings us to our final question. Is it worth doing? See, our brain is constantly, whether we realize it or not, running a little cost-benefit analysis. It's always weighing the value of doing something against the effort it's going to take.
We can actually think of it like a simple formula running in the background. Your motivation is basically your expectation of success plus how much you value the task, minus the costs, like your time and energy. If those costs feel bigger than the value in your chances of success, well, your motivation just tanks.
So how do we tip that scale in our favor? It all comes down to how we explain our setbacks. When we fail, do we blame things we can't control? That's what's called a maladaptive belief, and it just kills motivation. Or do we blame something we can control, like our strategy? That's an adaptive belief, and it empowers us to try again, but smarter.
So, what all of this really boils down to is that you are in the driver's seat. Your motivational state is not something that just happens to you. It's something you can actively influence, something you can change. You're in control. So let's just recap that toolkit really quickly. 1, adopt a growth mindset. Believe that you can improve. 2, build your self-efficacy. Start with small, achievable goals to get some wins under your belt. 3, reframe your self-talk. Add the word yet to the end of I can't. And 4, use rewards strategically to bridge that gap and get the engine started. So just remember, you don't wait around for motivation to strike you like a bolt of lightning. You build it, one brick at a time. So the only question left is, what's the first brick you're going to lay today?